Monday was Memorial Day, and since I haven't been into the cemetery to visit my grandparents and great-grandparents in quite a few months, I figured today was the day. And although today is actually a holiday, every day to me is Memorial Day. Every time I see an American flag flying, I try to display it in my video. It's my way of saying thank you to those who have served and in some cases paid the ultimate sacrifice for the freedoms that we all enjoy today. My first stop was the Pataskala Cemetery to visit my mom's side of the family. My grandfather served in the Coast Guard during the Korean War. When I rolled up in '64, I noticed that the headstone was covered in grass clippings, so I took a few minutes to clean the headstone up while I was there. My great-grandparents on the same side of the family are buried not far away, so I went over and visited them for a few minutes and straightened up their spot as well. Then it was time to head towards Granville to visit my dad's side of the family. The Granville Cemetery is located right behind the mill, where we haul Dad's crops in. Grandpa died in February of 1988. He served in the Army at the tail end of World War II. Evidently, somebody else has visited Grandpa pretty recently. There was a penny left laying on his stone. It turns out I wasn't the only one here to see Grandpa today. Mom and Dad rolled in shortly after I got there. While me and my parents were down at the cemetery, back at my shop, Tommy, Billy, and Kenny and Rob were all getting the cars ready to go racing this weekend. The kids had a list of things they needed me to pick up at Jegs, and I needed some parts for my car too. So I took 64 into Columbus and picked up a brand new set of Hoosier tires for the Falcon, as well as some hand tools for the race car trailer. By the time I got back with these tires, the kids were ready to put them on the rims and set the Falcon back on the ground. For some reason, the rear wheels on the Falcon are a real pain in the butt to swap tires on, but Kenny's got it down to a science. Once he finished up the tires and the guys finished up the oil change on the Falcon, they backed it out and brought Billy's Nova in to do an oil change, and then Billy and I went out to work on my Nova and do a little tuning. He plugged the laptop into the grid, made a few changes, and then it was time for us to take the car out for a little test drive. The car's currently running on pump E85 without any intercooler, so we really need to be extra cautious with the amount of timing we put in this thing. I'm not really worried about how fast the car can go or how much power it makes at this point. I just want to enjoy the car and have fun and drive it around a little bit. Billy and I made a few pulls and drove it around the block down past National Trail Raceway. Even though the car only makes 10 pounds of boost on gate pressure, it still runs pretty good. Anyway, while we're finishing up our test drive down past National Trails, Kenny's finishing up the oil change in Billy's Nova, and up at the farm, Dad's brought out his 1935 John Deere A so he can get started disking and dragging the east field, which hasn't been planted yet. Well, the basics are all here.
Yeah.
It runs, it drives, it stops, it starts. We got a little oil leak over here on this turbo.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a major oil leak on this turbo.
We had like an old fitting. We had the last dash 10 fitting left was a push lock, and all we had was a black braided line.
Oh.
So Jimmy Dale, to try to get it in there, I think he like massacred the line.
All right, so we need to get that oil fixed, that oil leak fixed. Need to do some tidying up on wiring and routing of stuff so it's not near the header or the exhaust system, and
Yeah.
need to finish the exhaust system. Probably need to put a better fan on it. The needle and seats need to be lowered because when you hit the brakes it tries to flood. So I think at least the rears are a little high. Carburetor's really pretty close, so the needle and seats are a little bit high.
Does this one have the boost tubes like the CSU did?
No.
I remember that riching mine up a little bit.
Yeah.
I wonder if we could try to add those and see if it
we can
changes
add
it.
Yeah, we can add them.
I remember it made a huge difference on mine.
It does. Yeah, we need to put the boost tubes out of the carburetor and up in the hat, and it doesn't have those yet. So,
Yeah.
that'll richen it up once it comes into boost, because right now it's a little bit lean on boost.
Yeah, it's like 12.2, but that's not terrible if you were NA.
Right.
But if you're boosted, it's a little lean.
Yeah. So we'll add the vent tubes to the top of the carburetor into the hat and readjust the floats because they're a little high. And we're pulling a lot of timing out of it, just trying to be conservative, because does it even have head studs?
No, it's got head bolts.
It has head bolts.
From Jags.
And it has Felpro standard marine head gaskets. Like, this is not built for boost at all.
Yeah.
So we're just trying to be conservative. We don't want to tear it up or injure it immediately. We want to make some content, drive it around, have some fun with it.
Yeah.
Before I build a good engine for it. This is just a temporary, just to get everything mocked up and see how we like everything. But I'm pretty happy with it so far.
I gotta get some downpipes off the wastegates made. That way,
Right.
that one's not blowing hot air back into the turbo.
Right, that's a problem too. Yeah, we need to get the wastegates done. But there's a lot of little things. But
put a boost controller on it.
Yeah, we don't have a boost controller
right now. I've just got those to vacuum, and then the top of it's open.
Right. So, but all in all, it makes boost noises. It sounds cool. It drives. Can't wait to get good brakes on it. After our test drive, it was time to load Billy's Nova up in the trailer. Now the plan is to take the Nova and the Falcon to Brown County Dragway in Indiana for War in the Woods this weekend. But before we head over there, there's a few things that we want to test on both the Nova and the Falcon. For one, the shutdown at War in the Woods is extremely short, so we need to make sure that both the cars' parachutes work properly. The other thing is we want to make sure that the Nova's oil pressure problem has been solved. Billy's also made some repairs to the front struts on the Falcon, so they want to go up and reset the anti-roll bar and make sure the car goes straight down the track. Once we had both cars out of the shop, we pushed the 55 Chevy back in and got ready to get up early Tuesday morning to go test. The boys got an invitation to go to a track that we've been to before. It's about 2.5 hours northeast of our house, up 77 to a little town called Magnolia, Ohio. It's kind of a neat little 8th-mile track that's mostly known for bracket racing. But in the last few years, the little track just outside of Magnolia, Ohio has begun hosting some no-prep races with a lot of success. Tad and Jim's Dragway of Magnolia is literally located just outside of town, less than a mile. This is the track that Billy did the 300-foot wheel stand en route to his $10,000 win here at No Prep Mania. Now the starting line here is concrete out to about 100 and some feet, so it's generally not too difficult to 60-foot good, but once you come off that concrete starting line, it's a challenge, especially during the day with the track temperatures hovering around 130 degrees. So clearly we're not here to try and set any records or personal bests today. We're basically here just to air out the parachutes and make sure we've got some decent first round tune-ups for War in the Woods this weekend. Right off the bat, the main thing we're worried about is just making sure that the Nova has oil pressure all the way down. I told the boys let's try and save our tires because there's potentially a lot of racing to do this weekend. Billy's talking about maybe entering 2 classes, use water instead of glue so we don't use the tires up. Survive the day, put both cars back on the trailer in one piece. He talked to me earlier. He said he was going to just try and make the first pass on gate because he's recently cut the gate springs down to lower the gate pressure for bad surfaces, and he really wants to data record and see what the car makes on gate with these springs cut down. So here we go, we're going to try this out. So after Junior told me he was going to go down on gate pressure off the trailer, I felt pretty confident that his first pass would be safe. I had little to no expectations of seeing any tire smoke. Needless to say, the plan changed at some point without me being aware. Thankfully, we didn't have to go to Summit to get any parts after the first pass, and the car made it down without any problems. Although it smoked the tires, he felt like he could come back up and make another hit after Tommy runs the Falcon and do a little better. Tommy made a nice clean hit in the Falcon without any issues whatsoever. The parachute came out and everything's looking pretty good so far. We just need to back the Nova down a little bit and get it to go down without smoking the tires. Billy's second pass in the Nova was much better. Tommy wanted to come up and make one more lick in the Falcon to see if he could better Billy's time on the Dragway. Although Tommy's second hit looked really good and probably a little faster than his first, his Dragway didn't record the run, so he had no proof of whether or not he actually went faster than Billy did or not. So anyway, that brings us to Wednesday, and Wednesday had its own challenges. Well, today is errand day. I need to go get my hair cut, and and we've got to go to the bank to get some paperwork notarized for AEP to have an easement on our property for the new electric line for the new shop. And for the last hour, I've been waiting on Vicki to get ready. First, we had to take a shower, and she has to curl her hair, and then she has to go to the office to print the form, and then she's got to go get her purse. Is it everybody's wife that takes an hour and a half to get ready to go do a 15-minute errand? You ready now?
What do you mean ready now? I've been up since 7:45. When did you get up?
30 seconds later, we were pulling back in the circle driveway to go get the checkbook that she forgot. This morning, I had compiled a list of everything I needed to get done today, and I felt confident I shouldn't have any problems. But somehow when Vicki gets involved in my errands, everything takes a lot longer than it should. After she had to ask for help with the kiosk at the bank, I started applying a little bit of pressure to make sure that we got our next errand taken care of quickly. You're getting a little ahead of the curve here, aren't you?
I'm trying to be productive, like ahead of schedule here.
Epic fail in 3, 2, 1.
What is going on?
You get graced by my presence today.
I do. I feel privileged.
So it's the end of the month. We need to.
It is.
write
I
you a
mean,
check.
it's the end of the month.
It's
too.
the end of the month.
That's all right then.
I held you off till the last second.
You did. You did. You run her right to the wire.
She screwed up your check. She's trying to short you 95 bucks.
Oh my goodness.
I wonder if I just write that in there.
All we had to do was write a check, but she filled out the check wrong, which creates yet another delay, and these delays add up over time.
It racks up.
It does rack up.
Hours and hours.
Oh,
There.
And then some.
they're not going to accept that
That's
check.
perfect.
That'll get me out of another few days.
Want to go to lunch?
We might.
Yeah. So we had errands to run. We had to go to the bank.
AEP had papers that we had to have notarized so that they can put the new electric service in for the new barn.
Well, first we had to take a shower at noon, then we had to curl our hair, then we had to go to the office to print off the forms, then we had to go in and get your purse, then we drove around the house, then we went back to
You
get...
forgot the checkbook.
Right.
Well, you had to have that.
Then we went to the bank and we had to go to the kiosk, and then we had to have help to the
Well,
kiosk.
because you pushed.
Oh,
book an
don't
appointment,
even start
but
bullshit
what you're
with me.
supposed
It's all
to
your
push
fault.
At least
was-
when I come to Mark's, I don't have to go to a kiosk to get any help.
Not yet.
Oh Lord, if you have a kiosk that says get your spot in line.
Oh, that's gonna be bad.
You install a kiosk here, I'll burn it.
Oh, no.
I had my day all planned out this morning,
This
and then it
morning,
all went out the window as soon as I walked down the steps.
Yeah, right.
Since I'm already running way behind schedule, I took Miss Vicki down to Crossroads for lunch. Meanwhile, back at the shop, the guys are very busy trying to get everything ready for this weekend. Jeremy was busy draining diesel fuel out on the driveway while he's changing Billy's fuel filters and doing an oil change on the dually. Kenny, on the other hand, was busy getting a 64 all cleaned up and ready to make the trip over to Brown County. After lunch, I managed to get Vicki dropped off at the house, and I headed into Jegg's to pick up some water wetter and a couple thermostats, one for my Nova and one for Vicki's 64 C10. We also went ahead and drained the antifreeze out of Billy's Nova and replaced it with water and a little bit of water wetter to help keep it cool. Kenny got started doing the same thing to my Nova while I took the 64 out for a test drive to see if we made any improvements on how hot the truck runs, and then I went down to the Speedway to get a little bit of E85 to top off the tank in my Nova so we could take it for another test drive this afternoon. The first drive that I took in the Nova after we put it together was over to Billy's shop, and it overheated on the way there. So with water instead of antifreeze, a little bit of water wetter, and a new fan, the car ran much cooler and felt like it makes a little bit more power on the exact same tune-up when I drove it around the block yesterday. As I came up 40 past National Trails, I noticed that there's racers already moving in for the No Prep Kings event this weekend. Justin Swanstrom, Daddy Dave, and Kai Kelly and Lizzie Musey were already on the property when I came past earlier this evening. So if you're not going to War in the Woods, National Trails might be a good place to hang out this weekend. All right, are you all loaded up? Are you ready to go?
Partway.
Partway?
Partway.
That doesn't surprise me.
Well, I've been working all day. I'm down to doing the food and the laundry, which is good. I've got all the merch and the important stuff loaded, and that next is food and the laundry.
All right, let's hit the cheat sheet. Let's get this going. Uh-oh.
Okay. It's her birthday. She gets to do what she wants.
Every time we start doing
I
details.
know.
Okay, I'm ready. Let's
Okay.
go.
We are going to War in the Woods. It's at Brown County Dragway, Morgantown, Indiana. So, it's a Friday, Saturday deal. The gates open both days at 8 a.m. It's $25 for a day, or if you're coming for the weekend, it's $40 for the weekend. 12 and under are free. The schedule for both days, gates open at 8
A.M.
8 a.m. But
A shizzle, not P shizzle.
yes, but there's nothing going on early. The chip draw, like the driver's meeting and chip draw, isn't until 2 in the afternoon.
So you can get there early to get a good spot if you'd like.
Yeah, but there's nothing going on until 2 o'clock driver's meeting,
Okay.
3 o'clock racing,
Okay.
both Friday and Saturday. Small tire, they hold off on small tire until 7 p.m. Friday night.
All right. Is that it?
Yeah, so they run first round of small tire, and then it continues into Saturday. Also, losers on Friday night can get into a second chance race Saturday. So
Okay.
you're definitely going to see the boys race either day.
One way or the other?
One way or the other. You won't miss it.
Okay. Is that it?
Yeah. Oh,
Oh,
bring cash. Some vendors and concessions and food trucks may not take a card. Bring lawn chairs and blankets to sit on because the stands are small, and this is going to be, it's a huge place. There's hillsides, there's plenty of spots to sit, but I recommend bringing lawn chairs or a blanket. Sunscreen, bug spray, those things are a good idea.
bug spray especially.
Yeah. So come see us. Say, we've got, merch and stuff.
You're going to have merch there?
Yep.
All right.
I've got my girly glitter stuff. We have a little bit of everything. So we will see everybody.
That it?
Yep.